Hello everyone, and today we will learn about consumer market and buyer behavior. Well, we will go through these four objectives. The first one is model of consumer behavior. Second, characteristic affecting consumer behavior. And next is buying decision behavior and buyer decision process. And the last part today is the buyer decision process for new products. Okay, so in the first part, model of consumer buyer behavior, it refers to buying behavior for the final consumer. They are the people that buy goods and services for their personal consumption, and on the customer combined to create a customer market. Okay, so it's quite easy to research the customer about what they buy, where they buy them, and how much they spend for that product. But in fact, it's quite hard to know why they decide to buy those goods because sometimes the customer don't have a clear answer. All right, and here is why the marketer wants to know how stimuli are changed in consumer responses inside the customer black box is why the marketer is trying to figure out which contain two parts. The first one is buyer characteristic, and the second one is buyer decision process. Okay, so now let's move to the next part: characteristic affecting customer behavior. Well, in this part we have four main factors, which are cultural, social, personal, and psychological. And about cultural factor, culture is the complex whole that includes knowledge, belief, art, and any other capabilities and habit by community or group of people. And a good marketer will seek for a cultural shift and discover the customer needs and demand. And there is an example of subculture is Ford Motor Company's approach to serving the African American community. Ford invests in advertising campaigns that specially target the Black community and celebrate its diversity. And Ford support a number of scholarship and community building programs at Black University. And about the social class is like the people who share the same values, behavior, and interests. And in the second part, I will talk about social factor, their groups and social networks. And the most important customer buying organization is family. And the last one is role and status. And nowadays, people tend to buy things that reflect their own status. Okay, and with the explosion of social media, the marketing environment has changed a lot, and customer behavior towards shopping. As you can see, brands nowadays try to express themselves through the platform. For example, Gojek and Pepsi have invited two K-pop bands to appear at their ambassador. Moreover, TikTok and Instagram have a large impact on Gen Z. H&M has created a TikTok account to broaden their awareness. Okay, and for the third factor, would be personal one. Here we have age and life stage, economic situation. For example, Samsung has introduced many smartphones such as different storage spaces and battery capacities, so it will be more affordable for everyone. And for personality and self concept, it's not only customer but also brand. And the last one is lifestyle. It will be the way that we interact with the world. And for example, life change events also affect the amount of consumption, such as having a baby or getting married. And in the other hand, the customer are more likely to relate to our brand personality if they recognize that their own characteristic in our brand personality. So they will choose our brand. For example, KFC represent as a family-friendly restaurant with a fun and cheerful advertising for all ages. Okay, and for the last one is psychological factor. Here we will talk about motivation, perception, learning, and attitudes. Sigmund Freud stated that the customer buy unconsciously, while Abraham Maslow think that people need arranged in the hierarchy from physiological to safety, social esteem, and self-actualization. And the last one would be about learning factor. A company needs to provide a strong drive, motivating cues, and positive reinforcement.
In the next part, we're going to discuss the buying decision behavior and the buyer decision process. Complex buying behavior, like consumers undertake complex buying behavior when they are highly involved in a purchase and perceive significant differences among brands. This buyer will pass through a learning process, first developing beliefs about the product, then attitudes, and then make a thoughtful purchase choice. Dissonance reducing buying behavior. Dissonant buying behaviors occurs when consumers are highly involved with an expensive, infrequent, or risky purchase, but see little difference among brands. They may respond primarily to a good price or purchase convenience. Habitual. The next one is habitual buying behavior. Habitual buying behavior occurs under conditions of low consumer involvement and little significant brand difference. Buyers are not highly committed to any brands. Marketers of low involvement products. with few brand differences often use price and sales promotion to promote buying. Variety seeking buying behavior is the last one. Consumers undertake variety seeking buying behavior in situations characterized by low consumer involvement but significant perceived brand differences. In such cases, consumers often do a lot of brand switching. Therefore, brand switching occurs for the sake of variety rather than because of dissatisfaction. Um, in the buyer decision progress, it includes five stages. The first one, make recognition and then information search, evaluation of alternatives, and the purchase decision and post-purchase behavior. Need recognition this means the buyer recognizes a problem or a need. It may be caused by internal stimuli like normal needs such as hunger or thirst become twice, or the needs may come from external stimuli. For example, an advertisement or a discussion with a friend might get you thinking about buying a new car. The next step is information search. It is if an interested consumer may or may not search for more information. If consumer's drive is strong and a satisfying product is near at hand, he or she is likely to buy it then. Source of information like includes like personal sources, commercial sources, public sources, and experiential sources. Evaluation of alternatives. It refers to how consumers process information to choose among alternative brands. How consumers go about evaluating purchase alternatives depend on the individual consumer and the specific buying situation. Purchase decision. After researching, the consumer make a decision. Generally, the consumer purchase decision will be to buy the most preferred brand. Two factors affect purchase decision, including multitudes of others. Like if someone important to you thinks that you should buy the lowest price car, then the chances of you buying a more expensive car are reduced. Or unexpected situation factors. The consumer may form a purchase intention based on factors such as expected income, expected price, and expected product benefits. And finally, post-purchase behavior. After purchasing the product, the consumer will either be satisfied or dissatisfied and will engage in post-purchase behavior of interest through the marketer. Consumers may be satisfied or disappointed depending on their expectation and the product's performance. Noticeably, if they are disappointed that what's coming out of their mouth may damage the business. The last objective of this chapter, buyer decision process of new product. It including five stages, as you can see: awareness, interest, evaluation, trial, and adoption. Individual differences in innovativeness. Like people differ greatly in their readiness to try new products. Five adapter groups, including innovators, early adopters, early mainstream, late mainstream, and lagging adapters. Influence of the characteristic of new product affect its rate of adoption. Five characteristics include relative advantage, compatibility, complexibility, divisibility, and communicability. That is the end of our. That is the end of chapter 5. Thank you. That is the end of chapter 5. Thanks for listening.
We will continue with chapter 6, business market and business buyer behavior. In this chapter, we got five objectives. The first one is business market. The second one is business buyer behavior. The third part is the business buying buyer decision process. And next is engaging business buyer with digital and social marketing. Final part is institutional and government market. First of all, we will find out the definition of business buyer behavior and business buying process. Business buyer behaviors mean the buying behavior of organizations that buy goods and services for use in the productions of other products and services that are sold, rent, or supplied to others. Business buying process means the decision process by which business buyer determine in products and service their organization need to purchase and then find, evaluate, choose among alternative supplier brand. We will talk about business market. Business market involve far more dollar and items than do consumer market. The main difference are in market structure and demand, the nature of the buying unit, the type of decision, and the decision process. We will talk about market structure and demand. The business marketer normally deal with far fewer but far larger buyer than the consumer marketer does. Besides that, they have inelastic and more fluctuating demand. Moreover, business demand derived demand is ultimately derived from the demand for consumer goods. Derived demand means business demand that ultimately come from or derive from the demand for consumer goods. Next, the nature of the buying unit. Company must have well-trained marketer, sell people to deal with this well-trained buyer. B2B marketer now face a new threat of higher level, better trained supply manager. Compared with consumer budgets, a business budget usually involve more decision, participant, and a more professional purchasing effort. Um, the type of decision and the decision process. Business buyer usually face more complex buying decision than do consumer buyer. The business buying process also tend to be longer and more formally. The finals in the buyer and seller are often more dependent on each other. In fact, many customer companies are now practicing supplier development. Supplier development means systematic development of network of supplier partner to ensure an appropriate and dependable supply of products and material for use in making products or reselling them to other. For example, Walmart doesn't have a purchasing department; it had a supplier development department. My partner will discuss about next objective. Next, we are going to learning objective 2 of chapter 6. Identify the major factors that influence business buyer behavior. At the most basic level, marketers want to know how business buyer will respond to various marketing stimuli. The figure 6.1 shows a model of business buyer behavior. In this model, marketing and other stimuli affect the buying organization and produce certain buyer response to design good marketing strategy. Marketers must understand what happens within the organization that turns stimuli into purchase responses. Within the organization, buying activity consists of two parts. The buying center, composed of everyone involved in the buying decision, and the buying decision process. Model shows that the buying center and the buying decision process are influenced by internal organizational, interpersonal, and individual factors as well as external environmental factors. This model offers four questions about buying behavior. What made buying decision do business buyer make? Who participates in the business buying process? And what are the major influence on buyers? And how do business buyer make their buying decision? About the major type of buy-in situation. A train rebuy is a buying situation in which the buyer routinely reorders something without any modifications. A modified rebuy is a buying situation in which the buyer wants to modify product specifications, price, terms, or suppliers. A new task is a buying situation in which the buyer purchases a product or service for a very first time. System selling is buying a complete solution to a problem from a single seller. Consider IBM and is consider Flat Entertainment Corporation. Flat must carefully and effectively manage thousands of park access from rides and equipment to buildings and other facilities. Flat turned to IBM for the software access called Massimo Access Management Software that handled their issues very well, but IBM didn't just hand the software over to Flat to implementation. Instead, IBM's Massimo Professional Service group compiled the software with an entire set of services designed to keep and get the software up and running. Next, we are going to the participant in the business buying process. Buying center consists of all the individuals and units that play a role in the business trade decision-making process. Participants in the process include users, influencers, designers, purchasers, and the gatekeepers. What are these different individuals? Users in many cases initiate the buying proposal and have defined product specifications. Influencers are technical personnel who are particularly important influencers. Buyers have formal authority to select the supplier and arrange terms of uh, portray. Designers in routine buying the buyer the are often the designer or at least the approvers. Gatekeepers are purchasing agents who often have the authority to prevent salespersons from seeing users or designers. Other gatekeepers include technical personnel and even personal secretaries. The buying center is not a fixed or formally identified unit within the buying organization. It is a set of buying roles assumed by different people for different purchase. Okay, so many business by decision result from the complex interaction for ever-changing buyer-center participants. A buyer-center concept presents a major marketing challenge given the varied groups involved in the decision who participate in the decision. There is a relative influence on the decision by various participants. Evaluation tutorial is used by various participants. There are informal participants that are involved in the decision. Okay, the major influence on business buyer. The figure 6.2 shows major influence on business buyers. Business buying decisions are affected by an incredibly complex combination of influences, but with an extra layer of organizational factor thrown into the mix. The various group of influences on business buyer include environmental, organizational, interpersonal, and individual. The major environmental, organizational, interpersonal, and individual influence. Okay, learning objective 3, business buyer decision process. Okay, figure 6.3 lists the 8 stages of the business buying process. They include problem recognition, general need description, product specification, supplier research, proposal solicitation, supplier selection, order routine specification, and performance review. Buyer who face a new task buying the situation usually go through all these stages of the buying process. Um, Finally, the buying process begin with problem recognition, which can result from internal or external stimuli in their advertising. Business marketer often alert customer to potential problem. For complex item, the buyer may need to work with engineers, users, and consultants to develop the general need description. This describes the characteristic and quantity of needed item. A product specification is developed by an organization, often with the help of a value analysis engineering team. It describes the technical criteria. Supplier search involves compiling a list of qualified suppliers to find the best vendors. Proposal solicitation is the process of requesting proposals from qualified suppliers. Supplier selections is when the buying center creates a list of desired supplier attributes and negotiates with preferred suppliers for favorite term and condition. Order routine specification. In the case of maintenance, repair, and operating item, buyers may use blanket contract rather than periodic purchase order. A blank contract creates a long-term relationship in which the supplier promised to supply the buyer as needed at agreed supplies for a set time period. Performance reviews. The review may lead the buyer to continue, modify, or drop the arrangement. The seller's job is to monitor the same factors used by the buyer to make sure that they are delivering to expected satisfaction.
The next part is objective for engaging business buyers with digital and social marketing. As you know, business marketers play important roles in connecting with customers online to share marketing information, selling products and services, as well as providing customer support services and maintaining ongoing customer relationships. E-procurement. E-procurement is purchasing through electronic connections between buyers and sellers online. There are several ways companies can do e-procurement. They can conduct reverse auctions, purchase requests online, and invite suppliers to bid for the business. or engage in online trading exchanges. Company also can conduct e-procurement by setting up their own company by size, especially for extranet links. Of course, business-to-business e-procurement brings many benefits. It is efficient for sellers to access to new suppliers with lower purchasing costs, as well as higher order processing and delivery. E-procurement reduces the time between order and delivery. An online-powered purchasing program eliminates the paperwork associated with traditional requisition and ordering procedures, and helps an organization keep better track of own purchases. It frees purchasing people from a lot of drudgery and paperwork instead of focusing on more strategic issues. However, it has a negative impact on relationships, such as erode decades on customer-suppliers relationships. Now we are going to show Objective 5, Institutional and Government Markets. Institutional markets consist of schools, hospitals, nursing homes, and prisons that provide goods and services to people in their care. And there are many institutional markets, which are characteristics by low budgets, captive patrons. The government market offers large opportunities for many companies, both big and small. Government organizations favor domestic suppliers over foreign suppliers, required to submit bids and contract to the lowest bidder. By the effect of government bias by environmental, organizational, interpersonal, and individual factors, especially for non-economic factors, favor the best business firms and areas, small business firms, minority-owned firms, and business firms. Thank you for watching.